All right. I know you're trying to do your best Red is Frozen face, but it was a good try, but I know you. And we are live. Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. I think it's episode 327, although I didn't double check before the stream started. Your once weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news, and this week and month, cocktails. Although Rhett is disappointing us all.
Yeah. It happens. Get used to it. Sound like my mother.
We haven't even gotten into your drinking habits. I was just saying in general. Oh, welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us on this Wednesday night or in podcast form over on Anchor.fm or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk tech, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, sometimes some Star Trek. All super chats are run in the air so long as they will not permanently demonetize the channel. We do drink alcohol on the show, and if you're drinking along with us, alcoholic or not, let us know in the chat, and we'll give some early show shoutouts as we go along. Last but not least, if you'd like to take part in the super secret chat and the even more super secret after party, think about joining the Patreon. Link is down in the video description. As a bonus, you'll get exclusive access to my Discord server, where you can chat with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and join the awesome community that hangs out over there. Welcome to the show, everyone. Rhett, good to see you.
Welcome
to
Talking Heads.
No one ever says welcome to Jeff. I'm here too.
Welcome, Jeff. This is Talking Heads. It's the once weekly live tech show featuring you.
Never mind.
And me.
Don't do that again.
I'm going to welcome you to the show every week now.
I appreciate that. So it is Mixology March, and I got a present this week. So on last week's after party on the Discord, which again you can get access to by joining the Patreon, link is down in the description. Longtime moderator, Skull. I don't know if it was in a compromised late at night state or I feel like being a really good guy state, but he bought me a bottle that I have wanted for a very long time, that has been remarkably difficult to get over here on the West Coast, and that is Mr. Black coffee liqueur, Australian vodka mixed with cold brew coffee. I hear this is phenomenal. I have not yet tried it. I literally just pulled the seal off as I was talking about it and explaining it. Before I even crack it open and smell it, thank you, Skull. I appreciate you. And we're going coffee themed for tonight. We're doing some coffee liqueur themed beverages. I wanted to see what all the hype was about and if the hype was real. And so I pulled out my favorite go-to coffee liqueur. Can't remember if I used this earlier in the month or not, but it is the Grind Espresso Shot. It is a 60 proof coffee liqueur. Arabica coffee. Fantastic coffee liqueur. If you grew up on Kahlua, this will blow your mind if you are a coffee drinker and love coffee. It is so freaking good. But I'm going to go ahead and pour just a little taste of each one, just to see what I'm in for once we get it in cocktail form. So while I'm pouring the first one and kind of sniffing that around, Rhett, if you want to introduce your drinks, you are more than welcome.
Oh, I appreciate that. It's going to need all the help I can get. So first of all, got my glassware in finally, so that's handy.
Glad took long enough.
You guys think just because I got the inside scoop that I'm just rolling deep in glassware over here? Literally had to crash Jeff's lunch date to get my glassware.
And take his PC.
Yeah, and that too. Okay, I screwed up the pour, but I am drinking. It's from Russian River Brewing down in California. Is it?
Yeah, it's
Sonoma County, baby.
Yeah,
wine country. So, yeah, it's This is the R&D IPA number 40, hopped with Amarillo, Zaka, Citra, Mosaic, Simcoe, and Strata hops. And I think the idea with this series is that they brew a bunch of them really quickly. I don't know, I've never been there, but like you can't get this shipped anywhere unless you're like nearby their brewery. So my old man went wine tasting last week and brought me back a bunch of beers. So, and this one smells amazing too. What did I say? You got 6 different types of hops in this beer, and you can smell them, baby.
Nice. What'd you say? Simcoe, Amarillo,
Azaka, Citra, Mosaic, Simcoe, and Strata.
Yeah, okay. See, I knew I heard Mosaic, I knew I heard Strata, Simcoe, Amarillo.
Yeah.
That's a good little blend right there.
Yeah, it's not bad. So
nice.
Russian River Brewing, R&D IPA.
Cool. My Stream Deck is acting up on me, so I'm trying to switch scenes, and I'm having to remember what my hotkeys for the keyboard were. So
that's okay.
Apologies if I get a little off later tonight.
You're just a hack and a fraud, Jeff. Nobody believes that you're a real streamer.
Well, I mean, if I had a production assistant or, in studio, my budget doesn't account for that, though.
One of these days, if the channel ever gets big enough.
Yep. All right. So I only have one snifter with me. So I poured a little bit of the Mr. Black just into my rocks glass here. First off, the grind is in the snifter. It is what I would consider a liqueur. It is sweet. It is a liqueur that, if you're using this in a drink, you might not need to add any simple syrup to it. It doubles as your syrup mix. I can tell that just on the nose. Whew. Very, very sweet. Almost a little sickly sweet, now that I'm thinking about it. The Mr. Black, that is not sweet. Literally smells like I poured myself some coffee. Lighter roast. I say lighter roast, I mean it's not smoky, it's not that burnt coffee smell. This is a very pleasant, yet still kind of bold smell. Here we go. Way more coffee, way less sweet. Wow. That's about how I like my coffees. That is dangerous. 50 proof. Boy, the grind had a little bit of a bite to it, even though it's only 60 proof. I mean, it's not the heaviest of liquors by any means. The Mr. Black is slightly weaker at only 50 proof. That was way smoother without needing to be sweet to do it. That's scary. That's scary. So I'm going to step away for about 2 seconds. I need to grab some ice so I can make this first drink. So talk about Morrowind or whatever it is you do.
Okay, buckle up. Here we go. You guys want to hear about the economic factors that led to Vardenfell's downfall? Well, really, I think it boils down to the fact when Red Mountain exploded. That was probably the biggest economic hardship. Because when they joined the Empire, they were allowed to keep slavery. Why did the Septums allow that? Well, it avoided a really bloody war. So, I don't know. pretty crappy at the septums, I say. But I guess it stopped a war. I don't know. This beer's good, though. I don't think they've got this on Morrowind.
All right. So, tonight's first cocktail, I am making a revolver, which is kind of a swing on the old-fashioned, but I am swinging it much, much further. Where your classic old-fashioned is whiskey, bitters, and sugar, right? A revolver is typically whiskey, bitters, and coffee liqueur. And that's it. I'm pushing it just a little bit beyond that. So we're going to start off. I found my jigger here. There we go. We're going to start off with, here's my measurements, 2 ounces of our whiskey. So I'm going to use, again, some of my favorite stuff, the Elijah Craig Straight Rye. We're going to give 2 ounces of that. And in this case, we're going to do this into a mixing vessel, not build it straight in the glass. So I've got a nice tall mixing jug here. So 2 ounces of the rye whiskey. We're going to do 3/4 of an ounce of the Mr. Black coffee liqueur. Toss that in there. We're going to do about 1/2 ounce of simple syrup, which is fantastic because I only have about 1/2 ounce left. In fact, that's closer to maybe 2 bar spoons full. So this is not going to be a sweet drink. Okay. Then we're going to grab some Angostura bitters. We'll go 3 dashes of Angostura. And then give that a swirl for about 30 seconds. So far, basically identical to what you would make in an old-fashioned. You're just substituting, 3/4 of an ounce of whiskey for 3/4 of an ounce of coffee liqueur. What's the big deal, right? There we go. We're going to strain that into our rocks glass on a nice single giant rock. There we go. Next, I'm going to take an orange. I'm going to take a nice giant swath of that. So, nice big old swath about that big. Make sure you get some pith on the back of that. Pith. I'm going to express some of those oils into the glass. I'm going to rim the whole thing. Here we go. Then drop it on in. And lastly, I'm going to go ahead and drop a cinnamon stick into this one. And give that an additional little stir with that. I've had this exact mixture before. Not with the Mr. Black, but I've had it with the grind. I've also done my own cold brew whiskey, which is a video that's probably going to come out to close out Mixology March next week on the channel. I make a cold brew whiskey where I will actually cold brew coffee using nothing but whiskey and then dilute it down to essentially make my own coffee liqueur. So instead of using vodka to get something like this, it's whiskey, and it ends up being between 50 and 60 proof when I'm all done with it. I'm expecting this to be equally as good as my homebrew cold brew whiskey, just based on the sample taste test that I had of the Mr. Black. But here we go.
Woohoo!
Cheers, everyone.
Everybody was saying I looked too contemplative there while you were making your cocktail, but I just didn't want to interrupt it,
Oh my. Oh my. Oh.
Oh.
That is one dangerous drink. Holy crap.
Like the color.
Oh, the color's gorgeous. Look, whiskey and liquor and straight up, it usually has a decent bite to it, and it's why a lot of people get averse to, traditional cocktails, straight up made cocktails like this. This is nothing but whiskey and 50 proof coffee liqueur and 3 dashes of a 55 proof Angostura bitters and then a half ounce of simple syrup. You might be able to convince me this is non-alcoholic. And not because it's sweet. There's only a half ounce of simple in this. It is not sweet by any means. This is a really wonderful Thai coffee, Irish coffee. That coffee is just so on point. Oh, that's so good. Wow. If I join the after party, do not let me make another one of those.
Yeah, we're all gonna come to your house and beat you. Like, no. Bad, Jeff.
This is so wonderful in so many different ways. It definitely needed that orange and cinnamon, I think, to really tie it together. Like, normally a revolver calls for orange bitters, which, again, is not outside what you would make in an old-fashioned. I think getting the giant orange swath and adding that in, and then giving it just a little bit of backspice. I was worried about a couple things making this drink. Number one, usually a revolver calls for bourbon. I wanted to throw sweetness out the window and go with the rye. I wanted a little peppercorn. I wanted a little chutzpah to the back of this drink. Then I found out I had less simple syrup than I thought I even had left. And then I added the cinnamon stick to it. I was afraid, I went too far the other direction. Oh no. Oh no.
Well, my beer is good too. It's got 6 types of hops.
I saw that.
It's like a hop cocktail.
Allison says that was definitely a Takai level oh my. No, if I want to do Takai oh my, I can do Takai oh my. Oh my. I can go straight for it. Oh, that is so good. I cannot say enough good things about it. I'm trying to pick out all the flavors so I can do something other than oh my. That's delicious. I just can't find the words for it. Skull, thank you.
Boom.
You're challenging us, craft computing. No, I'm going to go upstairs away from my liquor cabinet for the after party. I think I'm going to pour myself a beer and call it a night when I'm done with this.
We got folks in chat asking about PDX land. If anybody else is going to be there.
Yes, sir.
Make sure we get some game playing in. Some LANing.
If you are heading to PDX LAN, myself, Rett, and Steve will all be at PDX LAN. We are in literally the far back corner, so the opposite dark corner from the entrance. If you walk in, walk to the opposite corner and you will find us. I think I'm the first table back and the second chair in. So I'm like aisle seat against the wall.
Nice.
So you will find me. I will be there. So yes, come say hi. Even if I'm playing a game, tap me on the shoulder, wave, whatever. If I'm mid firefight, I probably won't turn around and have a deep conversation with you, but I will say hi. I love saying hi. Come say hi, please. It's so much fun to meet people.
You know, guys, and if he's busy, you can say hi to me. All right? I mean, I know I'm basically the face of this channel. I'm the wit and charm. So, you know, save yourself a stop. Come to me, say hey.
You're going to be sitting right next to me, too.
I don't know if I am, actually.
You are.
Am I? Oh, okay.
Yep.
I haven't looked at it yet, because I waited a little bit long to lock it in with Yocto, and so I thought I might have been at his mercy, but I can't remember. I looked it up right when I got the ticket from Yocto, but
yeah,
that was a while ago. So
in fact, we're at the same table. It's two seats to a table. You and I share a table.
Oh,
so
that's gonna make Baldur's Gate really easy.
Yes. My sister
we can pick up right
where
we left off. So
we could. My sister will also be there, and man, if we play Baldur's Gate, that's all she will ever play. So, yeah, we will be all over that if we dive into that game. I think we're gonna have to set aside another 12 hours to play Baldur's Gate. Now that I've played I haven't beaten Baldur's Gate still, but I've been to Act 4 like twice with a couple different characters, and so. Now that I haven't missed, now that Rhett's not driving me through the opening story, and he's like, I'm just trying to get us to the next event. I'm like, where the hell are we? What are we doing?
Yeah. Not only that, I kept wanting to explore things that I hadn't done yet, and so, like, remember we got into that fight with that troll and like those guys in that house, and like we had to we were all split up. We had to go and try to whittle them down one by one. And then it was like, does Jeff have enough, revive scrolls to bring us all back up? Because we're all dead.
I'm the rogue, and yet suddenly I'm the healer.
Yeah, that was a good time. That was probably the most landing I had done at a PDX LAN up until that point, was that whole stretch of Baldur's Gate all day.
The greatest part of that was not even the 12 hours straight of Baldur's Gate. It was Stephen Mine's characters.
Yeah, I did enjoy that a lot.
So Steve and we hadn't played Baldur's Gate yet. And I want to sit down and I want to play Baldur's Gate. And because I played through the first two numerous times, definitely a fan of the genre. And I went, you know what? I don't know who the characters are, but I'm familiar with D&D. So, let's just randomize it. And so I hit random. And I ended up with a half-orc rogue. And Steve ended up with a half-orc bard. It was the most amazing combo. We looked like we could have been a band. Steve had this flowing purple hair. I had a blonde ponytail pulled back that was nice and like Fabio style hair. It was pretty epic. So yes, if you are at PDX LAN this coming week, come by and say hi. More than happy. I will also have merch there. Some possibly to give away as swag, but I will also be selling merch live from my booth. So if you hadn't been able to buy a pint glass yet, or some of our, maybe our new coasters that I just launched today. You see these? Rett?
Sorry.
Gosh.
Yes, I saw them. I'm on the Discord too. I pay $1 a month.
Okay. That's right. I still make you pay.
No, those are really dope. I like them. Both of those are really great.
So
I know that's a good one.
I did the CPU that started it all. This is a 2011 V0. This is based off the 2667 V0. This is the very first Xeon I ever featured on the channel. So you can get the underside, the pads. This is all 1-to-1 recreation. There are 2011 pads on the back of here. Ask me how I know.
How do you know?
Because I did them all. But all the capacitors are 1-to-1 on the bottom. This is as close as a 1-to-1 to a 2011 as you will ever get in stone coaster form. Also, someone said, "Hey Jeff, you sell the floppy disk coasters, but what about selling like some classic games on them? And so I drafted up a set of Doom installation discs, but I obviously can't sell the Doom installation discs, so I went a step further and made Beer the game. So to install Beer, type install and press enter. Beer, registered version, not shareware. Oh no, not the cheap stuff for you, my friends. Those are both live right now on craftcomputing.store, as well as, pick yourself up a rocks glass, whiskey stones, nucleated pint glasses. Rett says they're awesome.
They are. Mine's still working.
How's the bubble action going for you?
It's still going, man. It's going good, yeah.
Nice.
Let's see if I can get that. Come on, buddy.
Come on, Sony.
You can do it.
Oh, there it goes. There it goes. Oh, yeah.
Can't quite see the bubbles, but yeah.
I can see them. That's pretty good still. That's a nice, good flow. It's exactly what you want out of a beer glass like that.
I still got a head, so...
Look at that. And that's the difference. That's what that does.
It's a good beer, too.
Store. You can't get the beer, but you can get everything to make your beer taste better. And yeah, I think these are going to be my new coaster of choice here in the studio. These are just awesome.
I do like that, yeah.
I will also have a limited set of definitely not violating any copyrights Doom installer coasters for sale only at PDX Land. I will have a small number of sets with me. So come say hi and pick one of those up. Anyway, we're 30 minutes in. It's probably about time to get to the news, right?
Time for some news. There is news every week.
So I wanted to start with one that was kind of YouTuber-ish news, and that is YouTube channel takeovers. These have been happening forever. Basically, as long as crypto has been a thing and people have been playing Elon Musk invest in crypto now videos, and you give me $20 in crypto and you'll get back twice as much. That's never a thing. Ever. You stupid people. Don't...
Wait, what? Are you sure, though?
I'm positive.
Oof.
Elon's never giving you back your Dogecoin.
What?
Because that wasn't really Elon.
Jeff, when I used to be in the studio, I clicked on some very... I thought I was getting us some Dogecoin. You might want to.
I had to tell the agents I had no idea your whereabouts. So,
thanks for looking out.
I know. I am a good friend.
Always looking out.
Christopher Titus goes, "What's a good friend? Someone who will go to court for you and lie." Anyway. Crypto takeover of YouTube channels. It happens a lot. In fact, YouTubers are targeted with such schemes. We get phishing emails. I've been targeted individually on some pretty darn ingenious phishing schemes, if you ask me. Things that, for all intents and purposes, look 100% legit, and in fact, pass my sniff test on the first couple of passes. I've experienced this. I have not had my account taken over, nor have I even been close, because as soon as documents came across, I went, okay, this is BS. But here's my experience. I like to work direct with companies, not with ad agencies, because that's always ripe with issues. In fact, next month, I think I'm going to publish one of my only ever banned ads. Just because I can. Because I never signed an NDA. So I think I'm going to publish that ad because it deserves to see the light of day.
I mean, what's stopping anybody from making fake ads anyway? Like SNL does it all the time, don't they?
Right. Oh, totally.
Like I just watched like a big, like long, like John Oliver did a Boeing one recently.
It's a misnomer. It's a misunderstanding of copyright law. Parody is allowed under copyright law. It's actually legally protected as an art form. There's this huge thing. Oh, you can't say Boeing or Nintendo or do an ad with Nintendo in it because they'll sue ya. No, they have no legal grounds to do that. They might try, but it would cost me $100 with a lawyer to write up a letter and say Nintendo, hey, go F yourself. And that's all that would be if it was actually parody. People go, you can't use brand names in advertisements or in your channel because this company will sue you. No, I'm allowed to talk about whoever the hell I want to talk about, free of recourse, as long as it's not libel or defamation. The reason people don't do it in popular media all the time is because people sell advertisements to these companies and don't want to advertise for them for free in hopes that they will buy advertisements. So that's why when you see, phones in movies and whatnot, it's either an Apple placement or it's some generic, Nokia phone or generic interfaces, not a Windows interface or anything like that. It's because they don't want to give these companies free advertisement, not because they can't use those. It's because they don't want to, because they hope to sell them other services. But that's besides the point. My exact situation with a YouTube takeover attempt was an ad agency reached out and said, hey, we are representing Bethesda Softworks, and we have an upcoming game, Starfield. And we are currently recruiting YouTubers and media agencies to run a campaign for us in the launch event. And we would like to buy some sponsored content from Craft Computing. And what would that look like? What are your rates? Do you have any integration ideas? Is there anything like totally legitimate entry level, open the door, cold email kind of speaking the right language? There's a whole bunch that I ignore that are like, hey, we loved your video on your 12-node gaming server or your video from 3 years ago that got no traction, and we think you'd be the perfect candidate to review our smart toilet. It wasn't one of those. It was a legit, like, I think this is an agent on behalf of Bethesda looking for integrations for Starfield. And I went, sure. Here's my rates. I sent them my rate sheet. I sent them integrations that I've done in the past for similar things. I've never done game launches, but I'm in the gaming industry. I could definitely think of something. And I said I'd be happy to work together. And they said, great. So we'll go ahead and link you to some press materials and whatnot, and feel free to look it over at your own time and let us know and get back to us. And I said, okay, great. And they sent me to a Google Drive. Not a red flag. A lot of companies send things through Google Drive. Every single pre-release press driver I've ever received outside of NVIDIA and Intel has been through Google Drive. Not a red flag. Okay? Yeah. Hell, Aya Neo still uses Google Drive for all of their driver downloads. Not a red flag. Inside, it had like 3 files. It had like press materials, it had demos, and then it had agreement. And they were all zip files. Not a red flag. Downloaded the zip files. Inside of the agreement was a PDF, and it was a single PDF, and I went, red flag. If it was just a PDF, they would have just put that thing in.
Yeah, why zip it?
They're compressing it to hide something. And so that was, and no, for Tanmay, it goes Google Drive. No, it was Google, it was drive.google.com, TLS certified everything. It was the domain that it purported to be. It came from a legitimate email domain too. It didn't have any red flags on it. I opened the zip file and it contained a PDF, and I went, nope, I'm out. Straight up Shark Tank. For that reason, I'm out. Because inside of the PDF, and actually John Hammond did a video on this not a week before I received this email, about PDFs having embedded malicious code that would take over your browser cookies and would lead to people getting direct access to your YouTube Studio account, which is exactly how LTT was hacked. But I opened the zip and I went, no. in fact, opened the zip in a Linux environment, or extracted the PDF in a Linux environment, and then inspected it and went, oh look, there's the code right there. There's the little macro that runs. That's designed to take over browser cookies. Awesome. So I reported them. I mean, that's all I really can do. But the end result is had I opened that and it had macros enabled, my channel would have been taken over through what looked like, even to the nth degree, a totally legitimate multi-layered conversation with an ad agency. Everything they did was nothing outside of what I would normally deal with. It was inside of language scope, and what I mean by that is there wasn't... We deal with a lot of foreign translation. We deal with a lot of Chinese. We deal with a lot of foreign, marketing people, and the ins and outs of kind of the translation and how and prepositions that kind of happen within that language scheme and whatnot. But then we also deal with intentionally bad language where it is a scam. They're trying to don't get the not best, brightest talent. Like, people don't talk that way. Chinese doesn't translate that way. Like, that's a different thing. It met all of my language criteria. It met all of the using the correct words in the correct order and the correct syntax criteria. It was only that PDF that tipped me off. The PDF in a zip. That's what tipped me off. Anyway, that is all to say that in 2020, Steve Wozniak had his channel taken over because of this. Because of a YouTube takeover exploit. I don't know if it was exactly the same thing, Trojan PDF, but Steve Wozniak, co-founder of Apple, had his YouTube account taken over and replaced entirely with crypto live streams. Steve, as well as 16 other plaintiffs, are trying to sue YouTube because YouTube knowingly allows this to happen. The problem is Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act basically provides YouTube and other media providers like YouTube blanket immunity. That is, they are not liable for any content posted by users on their channel for public consumption. The problem is, let's start at the beginning. 2020, Steve Wozniak's channel was taken over by scammers. Whether it was the Elon Musk live stream or one of the other dozen other crypto live streams, give us $20, we'll send you $40 like in 20 minutes, and then your money disappears forever, as all scams like this tend to do. Well, Steve was not too happy about this because a number of his followers were pinched out to the tune of tens of thousands of dollars, because what these viewers on YouTube who were subscribed to Steve Wozniak saw was a channel with a YouTube checkmark verifying their authenticity as being an actual legit channel and broadcasting a crypto investor stream, and they bought into it. Steve sued. A California court came back and said that YouTube and Google and Alphabet are immune because of Section 230. They have immunity. And that specifically says, protects internet companies against suits for defamation, libel, and dozens of other state law claims that seek to hold platforms, companies responsible for what appears on their sites. And that seems all well and good from a general perspective. From a general, hey,
yeah,
we let users post on our site, and suddenly they're posting illegal content, piracy content, scrupulous content. I don't want to dive too much further in. they're posting content that we did not endorse, we do not support, we do not condone. We actively take down those things when we see them. We have rules against said things when we see them. The problem is we have to allow people to upload and for algorithms to take care of most of our moderation. And so if something slips through the cracks, whether it be piracy, whether it be bogus investment schemes, that's up to the end user. And the liability ends with the end user.
Well, and then not only that too, you know, it's like we see a lot of like violent actors who are getting like radicalized via YouTube and that this is probably what's protecting them as well. And so there's that kind of other angle. It's like, I think we can all sort of say like one of the things that makes YouTube special is like, you can find anything here. You really can. That's what makes it interesting. That's what makes it a fun place.
Yeah.
But obviously I wasn't even, when we first talked about it, I wasn't even thinking about it straight up illegal content. I was thinking about that gray area content, but you're right. Illegal content is a huge problem.
Yeah. Anyway, when the lawsuit first happened, the California Appeals Court said that Section 230 grants YouTube immunity, so tough bananas. However, there is a prong to your lawsuit that might make some sense, that might compromise YouTube's immunity.
All right.
And it's that little check mark. It's the fact that a threat actor took over your YouTube channel, changed everything about it indiscriminately, and YouTube left the little check mark. And YouTube is fully aware this scam happens on a daily basis to channels with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, millions of subscribers. LTT's been hit. Steve Wozniac's been hit.
LTT was hit with the same like PDF thing too, right?
They were
was
hit
it
with the same PDF thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Not that far outside of when I was hit with that same PDF thing. I'm wondering if they got hit with the exact same threat actor as me.
Yeah, it's interesting because
it was in that time frame. It was around the Starfield launch that they got hit.
A company like YouTube has the resources to solve this. Blanket immunity only allows for lazy business practices that harm people.
Right.
This is true outside of YouTube. In many places, people are aware of the word immunity being a problem. And apparently also...
I wasn't going to go there yet, but it was on my agenda.
I'm not going anywhere, Jeff. I'm being vague on purpose. But that's the problem, is that with YouTube, we're seeing that content can be a problem. So why does a freaking bad actor have to go and do all of this stuff, and then a rich billionaire bring a lawsuit in order for anything to be done? I don't know. That bothers me. I mean, I'm glad it's somebody like, Steve Wozniak who...
He's got nothing but time and money to waste at this. Like, totally.
Exactly. Like, I don't know if I go on YouTube exactly for the Woz's channel here, but...
If there was one person not to piss off with their own channel, it was Adam Savage and Steve Wozniak. Like, those are the two people you don't want to go after right now. But anyway, the lawsuit was thrown out. But allowed to amend their complaint. They amended the complaint, and then it was thrown out with no opportunity to amend. But they said they could refile. And all of this comes down to Section 230 granting blanket immunity to YouTube. The problem is, YouTube, yes, is fully immune to content that users upload. However, I see this as a slightly different issue, and the problem may be just the legal definition of what exactly we're trying to nail down here. It wasn't the good user, the user in good standing with a verified account that uploaded content that defrauded users. This was YouTube allowed a takeover of said account, allowed a known scam to change the channel name, change the channel page, delist every single video that had ever appeared on that account, and then start broadcasting a very well-known scam video to millions of subscribers.
Yeah. See, and Tanmay here has an interesting idea. Is YouTube not
liable for that?
Right. And Tanmay has an interesting point, too. It's like, I'm surprised they don't just use their video moderation AI tools to fingerprint those scams. They've literally... I had in another room for one of my podcasts, in another room, somebody's ringtone went off with Sia's Chandelier.
Mm-hmm.
You could barely hear it on the mics. In fact, I listened to it on the YouTube channel. Barely hear it unless it's cranked up. It still triggered a copyright claim. You're like within minutes of upload. So you're telling me that
the same motherfucking video of Elon Musk sitting there and say, buy into crypto now, I'll give you twice your return, isn't a flag on YouTube's AI? You've got to be shitting me.
They got Sia through
not only that,
two walls and 8 feet of dead air.
Not only that, but the back-end work of the channel decompilation that has to happen. It is not a daily occurrence in my YouTube life to delist every video and rebrand the channel in one fell swoop inside of 30 minutes. I don't think any channel ever has done that in the history of ever, except those that have sold their channel to someone else.
But Jeff, if we change that, it's going to make it really inconvenient for people that want to...
Yeah, legal speak, we may have to take liability for this crap when it happens.
Oh, boo-hoo. You've got the resources to make sure this isn't a problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part that gets me.
And this keeps getting struck down. This has been struck down now 4 times, and finally it was given some semblance of life. An appeals court finally said that... hold on. The court found that the complaint had alleged that a verification badge was a material contribution to the creation or development of the illegal content. That is, when Woz's channel was taken over, YouTube's verification badge, we know who this is, this channel is a known good channel, is a material contribution to the creation or development of the content on that channel and the trust that users have in that channel. And that may be the chink in the armor that's needed for this case to go forward. However, it also said this court appeared skeptical, pointing out that the plaintiffs had only alleged that there was at least one instance where a badge had been given to the scammers, and noting that the complaint doesn't say if the verification was issued before or after the hijacking. To me, issued before or after... I mean, it's kind of a material difference, but it's also immaterial to the complaint that if a verification badge is given to a creator, and then every single video is delisted, and then the channel is renamed and rebadged and rebranded, and then new content that has nothing to do with the original content is now being posted and played, you'd think that verification badge would go away for, I don't know, at least a day, and then have to go through some kind of reissuance policy. I think after you've been issued a YouTube checkmark, I'm a verified creator, if you rebrand your channel, you need to reapply.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think that's fair. You're no longer
really
who you say you are.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that difficult.
And, yeah. I had an interesting thought. But while I try to reclaim what that thought is, Slug Prince here says, Google could easily fix this. There has to be some benefit to them to leave it as is. What are your thoughts?
It's because right now Section 230 is protecting them. They know for the last 4 years Section 230 has got, they're still immune to this. They have no liability even though they have the tools to fix this. It's the fact that Section 230 hasn't challenged them like this yet.
Is there any... What are your thoughts on the idea of like how sometimes a lot of like end user license agreements are not really enforceable because of the idea that nobody reads them? Like, there's got to be a point this far into YouTube's legacy.
Well, ask VMware and Vulture where they stand on those two ideas. By the way, I read the news today that Vulture has some questionable language in their terms of service. Vulture has been a recent sponsor of the channel. Trust me, I have an email out to my rep to clarify what exactly that language means. So we will get back to you on that. I didn't want to speak before I had all the information, and unfortunately I couldn't do that today. So rest assured, I am aware of the terms of service change by Vulture and by Broadcom, but F Broadcom, they don't care who I am. But
you know, it's like if some of these license agreements are not enforceable because of the idea that a reasonable and normal person isn't going to read them from top to bottom. I mean, can the same thing be said about YouTube? Because at this point in the legacy of YouTube, it just takes a few buttons to create a channel and upload stuff. And I'm not saying that, like, YouTube needs to be held liable for every little thing or whatever, but there's got to be some level of accountability.
Things like this, where people are supplanting and surreptitiously avoiding YouTube algorithms and checks to be able to get their content promoted, their illegitimate and illegal content promoted, it seems like there would be some kind of a thing that would hold the user free of harm. And it also seems like maybe YouTube is liable for that if there's a known vulnerability that threat actors are exploiting.
Yeah.
Non-creator here, does YouTube have support for some sort of 2FA? They do. I have 2FA enabled on my account. Here's the issue. This exact form of attack is hijacking browser session tokens. Therefore, it is bypassing 2FA. And once you're logged into YouTube, there should also be some, you can't do certain actions or do wide-sweeping changes without re-authenticating, re-2FAing. That should totally be a thing. Linus commented as such during their hack that once their browser session token was taken over, their entire channel was wiped from existence in like inside of 20 minutes. There should be some kind of check and balance of like, hey, I see that you used Tunnel Bear to delist every video in existence. Are you sure you wanted to do that? Your channel, 14 years and 15 million. So are you sure that's the action you want to take at this moment? Also, we'd like you to re-verify a 2FA. Can you check your phone and type in that 6-digit code for us? Just something.
Not only that, I was always suspicious of how easy it is to even just remove one video. Like, you know, I had the keys to the castle for craft computing for so long, and Jeff's like, oh yeah, get that video off there because it's a draft, because it's whatever, because we got ads going or whatever. Okay, take that one off and do another thing. And I swear to God, I'd have to sit there and like reread it a dozen times just to be sure that I'm not removing the latest video that went #1, you know?
Yeah. All it is delete and then a checkbox and then yes. That's all it is.
And we all blow past those, you know? It's like, how many times have you saved over your favorite Final Fantasy save back on PlayStation when you're just trying to... It's like, are you sure you want to overwrite this? Yes, of course I want to overwrite this. I've been playing the game for 36 hours straight. Okay. Yeah. And then there goes all your progress because you're an idiot. I'm like, oh man, it's stressful. Just even one video.
It's okay. I accidentally wiped out one of my laser file saves earlier today. Luckily, I had a backup of it. It's like, oh crap. But yeah, no, I hit save and it's like, no, I didn't want to do. What the God? It happens. What shouldn't happen is me accidentally clicking and then my entire channel is deleted from existence with new channel banners, a new name, and still authenticated and verified, and then streaming crypto crap. That's never a thing I would do, YouTube. And you know this. You know everything about me.
Yeah, interesting stuff, man. I think you got a lot of points. I think Woz had some good points. I don't know. It just... It really seems as though judges are not qualified to rule on
The
intellectual
problem
property.
is when you grant blanket immunity.
I mean, like, what is it about blanket immunity that just makes people make the worst decisions possible? I mean, whether or not it's just letting, giant YouTube channels
I've
be
never
erased
owed
in
someone
20 minutes.
$175 million before.
I don't know. Whether it's YouTube or human life.
But speaking of
like,
things that YouTube is not liable for, and you brought this up momentarily, but I kind of wanted to touch on it anecdotally. I have two different YouTube accounts. I have a YouTube account that I watch YouTube on, and then if I see a fellow creator and I want to comment on their video, I will log into another computer and comment via my creator account to that video. Like, I have layers to things, even since you've seen it. Like, before I was logged in on both computers, I'm not anymore. Because of crap like this, because it scares me. But it happens on both accounts. And lately it's been happening with shorts. It's been happening a lot with YouTube shorts. I almost feel like playing Russian roulette or a drinking game. How many shorts will I get through before a Jordan Peterson or an Andrew Tate or one of those videos pops up on my feed?
Well,
and that's with
the whole
my browsing
problem.
history.
Right. And that's the biggest problem to me with the idea of this liability.
They
have to keep
openly LGBTQ stand-up comedians and car enthusiasts and tech channels and whatnot, and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, today we're reloading the loaded for dinosaur gun. It's like, I'm not interested in gun content, and I'll click off of it, and then it'll go, oh, and Jordan Peterson says this, and I'll click off of it, and do not recommend channel. Do not recommend channel. Anytime Joe Rogan appears on my feed, do not recommend channel. I don't care who his guest is. I know that Penn Jillette was on there. Huge respect for Penn Jillette, no respect for Joe Rogan. Guess what? I don't want to know what Penn Jillette said on Joe Rogan's show. I don't want to know. I don't want to give that asshole any air at all.
Yeah. And
unsubscribe, delete, not interested every single time any of those faces pop up on my channel. Guess what? Within 20 videos, those assholes pop up on my channel feed again.
Yeah. It's like a bad rash, man. Like, for sure, I get the same problem, and that's exactly what I was talking about before. This idea of radicalization or whatever. That's the extreme example, being radicalized to the point that you feel like you need to take a gun into a place and kill a bunch of people. That's the extreme example. Do I think YouTube needs to be held accountable? Yeah, I do, because that's garbage. The fact that it continually pushes this content that any reasonable person could look at and say is garbage. You listen to Jordan Peterson speak, he doesn't have anything ever to say. Listen, my God, you give him a paragraph, he needs another paragraph to explain that paragraph, but then he needs another paragraph to explain the last two paragraphs.
Yeah.
He can't connect any of it.
Yeah.
And somehow it continues. I get the same problem, and I'm actively hostile on these channels. I'm commenting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like the douche commenter on every tech channels, except I'm on Jordan Peterson and frickin'... I'm like the guy who's like, what a stupid and entitled comment.
I love that you're the literal opposite of we can always tell. Every villain needs a hero, Rett.
That's what I bring to YouTube, okay? But that's the exact, for whatever reason, the way their algorithm functions pushes this awful content. You're damn right they need immunity, because it leads people to do bad things. I mean, I don't know. I can keep going.
I just wanted to make an official announcement down in the chat. There you go.
Yeah.
You'll see it in a second. Every villain needs a hero, Rett. That's what I bring to YouTube, okay?
That's
You'll see it in a second. 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 Point proven, right? There you go.
That's the exact, yeah. Oh, my God. Anyway.
Rett is Jeff's personal troll.
Yeah, man, it's a mess. And
Jeff mic'd his keyboard tonight? No, that's just my keyboard.
That's a loud keyboard.
I was upstairs and I was downstairs. My daughter was upstairs. She came down and said, "You're typing really loud right now." At one point earlier today. All right. On happier notes, that was one of the best coffee cocktails I've ever had in my life. That was phenomenal. Oh my gosh. 10 out of 10. Tasty. No notes. No notes at all. That bottle is in very clear and present danger.
Sounds like Skull needs a hug.
Skull needs a hug. Skull needs a bro fist.
He got that Midwestern hospitality coming through.
That's right. Didn't even apologize for how good it was going to be. That was good. And the good's going to get better because we're going more coffee here in just a second. Speaking of that, but how's your beverage going? Are you ready for another?
Good. I poured another a long time ago.
Okay, wow. It's 7:04.
You know me, man. I can't have a drink in my hand without draining it. Yeah, I went Obsidian Stout. I don't know. I had a couple things from Caldera Brewing down in Ashland. I had some more Russian River Brewing, but I didn't want to go burn through all my goodies in one sitting, so I grabbed myself an Obsidian Stout, which I also had last time I was on the show. One of the staples, Oregon staples. I'm on my way to Bend next week, where I'm gonna go to Crux at least. I don't know what else I'm gonna do, but Deschutes Brewing Obsidian Stout. This is one of the staple craft beers in the Pacific Northwest. It's so good, so dark, it's so rich. This is the benchmark upon which other stouts should be measuring themselves. And yeah, it's only 7:05 and I'm almost done with it, unfortunately, but yeah, and normally I would bring myself, I don't know, about 2 beers is about enough for me, right? I went with Pounder earlier, the Russian River Brewing, and then this one's only a 12 ounce, which is probably good because unless I'm doing the show, I don't really drink it on during the weekdays. So about 2 beers in is a little too much. I feel like 3 would really get me through the show at the rate that I drink, because unfortunately I can't have a beer within reaching distance without me just constantly, and Jeff, of course, when he takes control of the show, what am I going to do?
What about me?
I'm going to chat, or I'm going to sip my beer,
That's right.
I'm a spectator here, too. So.
Just do what I pay you to do, damn it.
I think YouTube would demonetize you if you did that.
I apologize. We did have some super chats at the very beginning of the show. I saw at least one of them, and I went, I'll get back to that. And then the conversation just went. So I apologize. Daryl sends over 2 Aussie bucks. Thank you very much, Daryl. Trying to pitch a collab with Best Jeff, but Space.
Oh, yeah. I saw that one, too.
Yeah, Best Jeff, but Space. Well, Best Jeff is me. Other Jeff is Gearling. And so if you mean other Jeff, then that'd be cool. Yeah. Novella sends over Novella, member for 43 months, and that's just on the YouTube side of things.
Wow.
I think he's got that or more on the Discord side too. Like, holy crap, thank you. Happy birthday to our favorite beer Santa at John J. Happy birthday, John J.
It's John J's birthday.
It's John J's birthday.
Wow. He's my favorite beer Santa. Although Novella, you can't shake a stick at Novella though either. So.
Novella's also a proper right beer Santa in his own. So yes. And Daryl says involves every Pi in a rack chassis with KVM. Ooh. Nice. Nice.
What else we got?
I thought we
Is
had...
that it? Guys, we need more super chats. Come on. No.
Michael, member for 18 months. Thank you. Recommendations for DIY security cameras for home or Airbnb, build or canned solution.
Well, first, don't put cameras on your Airbnb. That's annoying. Nobody likes that.
It's also against terms of service now. It is officially against terms of service to put internal cameras in an Airbnb. Not that any terms of service applies to any Airbnb, because you're not supposed to run them in residential areas without approval or proper insurance either, but people do that. Anyway, all
right, he does say outside cameras. I was probably a little too hasty in my judgment.
Yes. Outside cameras. Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Look, we'll forgive you for a front door camera at an Airbnb, but that's about it. All right.
Yeah. Honestly, dirt cheap, easiest to install, Wise. The Wise V3 and the Wise Pan Tilt V3. $30 for a V3. You can even get them as low as like $12 on Amazon or on eBay.
Yeah.
They're 1080 with audio, with talkback. And so if you put one at your front door and someone's locked out, you can talk to them via the camera. You can see them.
Now, I wonder, does Wise constitute DIY in this situation?
It's a little DIY, but it is a cloud tie-in. You can also host your own. They do support RTSP officially in the V3 and the V3 Pan Tilt. And so you can run your own like Blue Iris server and just record the feeds off Blue Iris, and you're good to go. Or you can just use their cloud service, which is actually not that bad.
I've been using Wise for a long time. Net Guy, also friend of the show, he pimps them a lot on his channel.
Yeah, and he's saying V4. V4s are also right up there. I haven't checked out the V4. That's the only reason I hesitate giving a full recommendation on that. But I use the V3s here in my house. They're a USB 1 amp power brick. You can power them off any outlet in your house and any USB source or any 5-volt source you ever have. And they connect to
Wi-Fi. I still have all first generation Wise cameras.
Yeah.
And they still are functional with the app. I think there's some features that are closed to me. Yeah. But they do what I want them to do, which is show me an image of what's happening.
Yep.
And it's the same thing. Generation 1, $30. Generation 2, $30. Generation 3, $30.
Yeah.
They've been the same price. They've been the most affordable price. But the only reason I ask if they're DIY is because of that cloud functionality. Because if I was talking DIY, I would want something that's entirely self-hosted, something that I guess you could get any type of camera and just rig up any type of DVR at that point. Right.
So self-hosted would be, you get some Reolink cameras and you don't use their cloud service, and you get your own server or lease some space, and you do a Blue Iris or some other encoding service, Home Assistant, whatever. And that'd be a full DIY. Wise, you can just use their cloud service, and that's actually what I use. Like I love on-prem camera solutions. I have just a couple external cameras, and then I also have 2 V3s in my son's room. My son is a special needs 24/7 monitoring, and we have 2 Wise V3 cameras in his room, so I can hear him, I can talk to him. If I need to skirt away for 30 seconds and pee, I can have his camera feed up, and it just works, and it works wherever I'm at, and it's great. So
yeah. Vince is saying that the Net Guy did a full review just yesterday. So even though he hates the fourth Matrix, get over to the Net Guys channel, watch your reviews about the Wise camera, if that's something that you want to do there, Michael.
Well, Vince, this morning I would have probably caught up on my YouTube from yesterday, including watching the Net Guy, who I do subscribe to and watch regularly. But someone made me make some Doom coffee coaster, cup holders for them. So, sorry, I'm not up to date. Anyway.
Yeah, you should be.
I was making a cocktail.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I was making a cocktail today. Oh, and I forgot one thing. Hold on. One sec.
Oh, okay. So the cocktail of choice on the island of Vardenfell, I don't know. I guess you got... I don't know. I'm thinking about all the booze you got in that. It's like, really, all I can think about off the top of my head is Cyrodiilic brandy. People mistake skooma for alcohol, but it's not. It's really more akin to opium. Although it is made of moon sugar, which is kind of an upper.
That's right.
So I don't know. I told somebody the other day on Bluesky, the new Twitter, that skooma was a downer. I mean, all you got to do is go into the skooma dens and take a look around. I mean, they're trying to be analogous to the opium dens.
Yeah.
But to Khajiit, it does have hallucinogenic properties. Skooma is kind of sacred and important to the Khajiit. And yeah, so here we go. Real life liquor now, though.
So, I am a huge proponent of coffee as a dessert drink. I love a good Turkish, Thai, Irish coffee. It's a great vehicle.
Those are three different places you just named.
I know they are, and they're three wonderful drinks all based on coffee. I am a very big proponent of coffee as a dessert drink, tied alongside like a creme brulee and a port wine. Like it's a fantastic way to go, right? See, I just brought you fully on board, and you didn't even know.
I knew coffee was a perfect dessert accompaniment, or even a dessert unto itself, sir.
So
from the Pacific Northwest, right?
So I am going full dessert cocktail. Dang it! I forgot one more thing in the fridge. This cocktail's complex.
Well, this is good because Michael says, wait, not Michael. Sorry, Michael. Dagamore says, how is there a fourth Matrix when they only made one? Well, the beauty is they've made a perfect sequel, and it's called The Matrix number 4. So there you go. You've got Matrix 1, then you've got Matrix 4. It's the sequel. It's the only sequel that really matters.
I am making...
Although I like Reloaded. Fight me. I like Revolutions too. It's fun. You know what, man? It's fun.
It's fun.
It's fun.
They're a fun ride. They're not as good as the original. They pale in comparison to the Anti-Matrix. Or the Animatrix. I said Anti-Matrix. The Animatrix.
Animatrix.
But they're a fun ride.
Dude, they're a totally fun ride. I was thinking about this the other day. I think why they resonated with me so much is because I was so young when they came out, and it was like watching live action anime. It's like the closest to a live action anime we've ever got. In Revolutions, when they go up on the ceiling and they're like fighting dudes from the ceiling on the floor, that is so sick. I don't even care. That's awesome. The Wachowskis knew what they were doing. Anyway, make us some coffee.
Today, we are making a Kahlua Mudslide, although it is a modified Kahlua Mudslide, because I like to change things up every once in a while. We are doing 1.5 ounces of Bailey's Irish Cream. We are doing 1.5 ounces of the Mr. Black Coffee Liqueur. Normally, this is a drink that calls for 1.5 ounces of vodka. It's 1 to 1 to 1. Irish Cream, Kahlua or coffee liqueur, and vodka. I am swapping out the vodka for a white rum, because you know how to make a vodka drink better? You swap it out with rum or gin where appropriate. So that's what I'm doing. So we've got 1.5 ounces of white rum, in this case Kula from Hawaii. We've got 1.5 ounces of Mr. Black. We've got 1.5 ounces of Bailey's. And we're going to shake that. But first, I need to prep my glassware. Cool. There we go. So, I've got a nice fancy glass here. We're going to do a shot of chocolate around the inner rim. Just like that. It's going to look something like that. And while that's dripping down, I'm going to go ahead and shake this mixture I've got going here. There we go. I found the bottom to my shaker, so it opens way easier than using a pint glass now. I've got this wonderful ice spear I'm going to add to my glass there. And then we're going to strain this right in here. Get this wonderful cascade look to it. There we go. And then, top with whipped cream. It's my house. Screw you, people. And there you have my modified Kahlua mudslide. Isn't that delicious?
That looks delicious.
Normally there's also an ounce of milk in there. So you go 1 to 1 to 1 to a 0.75. So it's 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, or 1, and then 0.75 of milk. I don't like adding the milk. It thins out the drink. I didn't know if it was possible for my Kahlua mudslide to get any more dangerous. But there it is with the Mr. Black. That is just a chocolatey iced coffee now. That is good.
You can join all of the TikTok celebrities that are like, let's make it coffee in the morning. And they just like, literally, it's just not even coffee.
Right. I'm going to tamp this whipped cream down just a little bit so I can actually drink it. There we go.
I saw one where somebody made a coffee drink and some nutritionist tried their best to calculate the calories of it just based on the product they put in it. It was like 5,000 calories.
Mm-hmm. So this is how I
just
stay slim,
by
drinking only this and then throwing it up when I'm done.
Yeah.
Oh, that is wonderful. Not a drink if you have a mustache. I'm going to be doing this the rest of the night. Have we gotten to the news yet? Yeah, we spent 30 minutes on Steve Wozniak, so...
Have we gotten to the news yet?
I mean, it's been 45 minutes of not news and 30 minutes of news, but the news has been a substantial portion of this show.
I guess you couldn't tell that we were in the news because I didn't cuss. Came close, but...
We did cuss, which is why I had to give my little disclaimer that YouTube has no liability over the content of this video.
All right, I guess when I whisper cuss words, they can still be heard on the channel. Okay.
We both dropped assholes, and I know I dropped an S-bomb at least once, and I think you followed up.
I probably did.
I think you followed up with at least
It's so
one.
hard to remember. Especially after 2 beers, I'm just like, does it actually matter? You know, I'm like, just like, here I go. I'm talking. Fire it up.
That is delicious. All right. We do have some more news. Believe it or not, this is a news story, or a news show, after all.
Oh, all right. I'll believe it when I hear it.
Canada is walking back its ban of the Flipper Zero, and I happen to have an example right here. Look at that.
No. You're a Canadian outlaw.
I am such a Canadian outlaw. In fact, I brought my Flipper Zero into Canada last 2 times I was there. I had the Flipper Zero in my bag with me.
You could have been detained indefinitely.
Just for the lulz. You know, I figured I'd do some car shopping while I was there. Anyway, kind of the response I expected, but still not the response I was hoping for. That community outcry, including the Flipper Zero CEO, saying things like, gosh, where was the...
Like, this is stupid. Do you idiots have any idea how technology works?
You're not that far off. The statement comes as the makers of the Flipper Zero launched a petition urging the country to drop the ban. Such proposals are usually made by those who do not really understand how security works and will do nothing to solve the car theft problem. Flipper Devices CEO Pavlovo Zoran said. Literally, like, you absolute idiots.
Like,
I get that you're trying to solve a problem, but try asking someone who has a modicum of understanding of the problem to begin with before you just start nailing people to the wall.
I mean, it's just crazy to me. Just crazy. You're like, well, they googled something on their smartphone about how to steal a car. We better ban smartphones.
I mean, that's like literally the only next logical step from this. We talked about
they'll ban Flipper Zero, but they won't control YouTube.
But they'll ban TikTok.
Yeah. Oh my God! Don't even get me started on that. Oh my God! Quickly, get back to Flipper.
Yeah. But the Chinese are collecting all of our data. You realize all the companies that you hold dear are selling all of our data to China anyway. Like,
I'm like, you know what? Okay.
Oh God, I continued. I'm sorry.
They tried to pass a TikTok ban, like, within weeks. We have actual problems. Crumbling infrastructure, overwhelming student debt, people being shot in the places where they should be safe, learning things.
But hey,
healthcare.
At least Tennessee passed that chemtrail ban.
Oh, thank God for that. Thank God we have Tennessee. What makes this United States great? Well, it's the fact that every state can just do whatever the hell they want to do.
And Idaho banning the state from funding gender transitions, which, spoiler alert, they've never done ever anyway.
Jeff, how else do you win the culture war if you don't have culture war issues on which to wage it?
I don't know. Have you tried helping people? Maybe they'll get on your side.
Just like, we have real issues that can be solved with decisive action by how many freaking members of Congress voted to pass this TikTok ban? Decisive action could be used to help people for real. And they're like, well, you know what we got to do? We got to get rid of this app where they criticize us.
And tell China they're laughing at us.
It's just like, oh my God. And it's funny, the clips that I see that are like some sort of gotcha, where it is a particular type of politician being like, you know, remember when they had the CEO of TikTok USA operations sitting down and they're like, can you criticize the CCP? You know, can you criticize anything about the Chinese government? It's like, sir, I'm here to talk about TikTok. You know, like, what? Well, you can't do it because of. It's just like, how is this this isn't the gotcha you think it is?
I know.
It's so painful. We have actual issues. Like every major city in our state, Jeff, has a budget shortfall of tens of millions of dollars. Schools can't balance their budgets. But you know what'll solve it? TikTok.
One of our local school districts, I guess, is like firing 17% of their teaching infrastructure is going to be lost this year. And it's not because of the normal incompetence of the school board that I've come to know and love. It's because they literally ran out of money.
Yeah. But it's everywhere, man. It's everywhere. Every major school district in Oregon, every major city in Oregon, their budget has a huge shortfall. I mean, and then they're like, well, at least everybody got their tax kicker. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Ban TikTok so they can't talk about the issues.
I love when we dive into issues like this and just start ranting, because it makes really, really easy work for the mods to just like go, yeah, that guy doesn't belong in the chat. They're dropping like flies, man. It's great.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You don't like the fact that we think that the government can help people? Yeah, you deserve to be freaking muted or kicked from chat. I don't care.
Apparently in Florida, you're not mature enough to decide if you need an abortion, but you are mature, but you're also not mature enough to be on social media. So.
Yeah. I mean, is social media a huge problem? Yes.
Yes.
But solve the other problems first.
Yeah.
Solve Facebook first, for God's sake. Have you been on Facebook recently, Jeff? It's all AI-generated content. I can go on to TikTok and see people doing things.
Tried to look up cocktail recipes tonight for the show. Do you know what I got? 5 different sites with the same exact top 20 list that didn't have ingredient lists or proportions, that also misattributed links to cocktails that they didn't make.
You want to hear the shit about AI, dude? I was on ChatGPT the other day because I needed an anagram. Now, I should have just went to one of these anagram frickin' websites or whatever, but I thought, ChatGPT, create me an anagram.
Mm-hmm.
So it created me some shit anagrams.
See, there it is.
And I said, whatever, it's over. And I said, no, this word has an I in it. It has 2 I's in it. Make me an anagram that starts with the letter I. And ChatGPT said, that would be impossible. There are no I's in this word. I said, ChatGPT, are you shitting me right now? There's 2 I's in this. Create me an anagram with the letter I. It said, well, I could create an anagram, but it wouldn't be a real word. I'm sorry. The other 20
are limited. You must ask the right questions.
The other 20 anagrams you created weren't real words either. That's why I'm directing you to create one that starts with the letter I, because at least then you'd be close. So anyway, not only that, then you go online anywhere. And it's like I was reading a review for a freaking game, or maybe it was a TV show or something. I don't know how many times this happens, like just in the last couple weeks. I'm reading it, and I get to the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th paragraph. 5th paragraph is something. I'm sorry, I should have learned everything there is to know by 5 freaking paragraphs. But by the time I get to the 5th paragraph, all of a sudden I realize, my God, this was written by AI, wasn't it? Because it's just repeating the same thing for 5 paragraphs. Anyway. So, yeah, goodbye, chat people.
So
that's how we got here.
I got on a list of the Spruce Eats. Seems like a nice website, right? And I went, okay, so what are some cocktails that I can look up? And specifically, I was scrolling down and I went, the Ginspresso Martini. I love the idea of subbing in gin for vodka, making a martini, but making it an espresso martini, but with gin.
Yeah.
And I went, that sounds wonderful. So I click on it. Guess where it takes me? The espresso martini.
Okay.
Vodka. That's not a gin espresso martini. What the hell? Oh, the traditional martini formula. Let's click on that link, okay? The classic gin martini. Okay, well, that does me no good either. What exactly are you doing? Oh, the Ginspresso Martini. Here's another link. Let's click on that one, shall we? Let's see where that goes. The importance of coffee cream for the perfect espresso. What the f*** are you on right now? This is not the Ginspresso Martini. This is not vodka. This is not even a martini. This is talking about making coffee. I want coffee liqueur-based cocktails and the ingredients for the cocktail that you listed. What the hell? Oh, get the recipe. Here's the fourth link. Guess where this takes me? Back to the espresso martini. Guess what?
The internet?
Guess what? I went, I'm done with this list. Let me scroll down. Here's the 20 best coffee liqueurs. So I clicked on this. I go down this list. Guess what? It's the same freaking list with the espresso martini right there. And guess what? Vodka espresso coffee cup. They copied that website and got that name wrong. Guess what? I scroll down to the next website. It's the same top 20 list with the same wrong ingredients. Guess what? I scrolled to the next website. It did the same thing again. White Russian, Toasted Almond, Widowmaker, Talking Monkey, Triple Espresso, Ginspresso Martini. There's not even a link in this one.
It's almost like allowing
this. I literally just did the same Google search that I did before the show. I know these results because I've seen these like 9 cocktails repeated in this exact order every single time.
Your problem is that you didn't talk to the chat bot in the bottom of your screen there. That chat bot would solve all your problems.
Hello, would you like to talk about our products? Oh, I had problems with chatbots earlier today. I don't want to get into that right now.
Don't even get me started. It's almost like the internet becoming 4 whole companies was a huge mistake.
Literally, all 4 of those sites are the same word for word, but different CSS formats of the same wrong information.
Well, that's what's crazy is Google any question anymore. And you'll get a Reddit post, a Quora post, a whatever post, or this thing. They're verbatim. They are the same exact freaking thing. No, I'm sorry. I'm trying to collect viewpoints here. I'm not trying to collect the same exact garbage-ass, verbatim copy pasta garbage.
So you say that. The top link was the first one that I clicked on. And then, hey, look, good applications for coffee liqueur. And then there's like a Reddit post of like, hey, this is how I use coffee liqueur. I scrolled through that and was like, it's okay. There's nothing in there that I'm like, there's a B52, there's a couple other things. Whatever. But I've used guides like this in the past for like finding like good recipes. Yes. It was the same list and the one cocktail that I wanted them to tell me about that every single list touts the Ginspresso Martini. Tell me more. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't. Guess what? I haven't even done this yet. I'm going to scroll down even further down the list. Here's the 9 best cocktails to end your evening with a kick with coffee. Is this? Oh, look, espresso martini.
Are you of legal drinking age, Jeff?
I am.
Clearly, we can't tell by any other. Yeah, and it's not just the internet; it's Google too. Google is actively worse. Has anybody else noticed this? It is actively worse, and I keep thinking to myself every single time: if there was one feasible alternative, I would use it. One. And somebody in chat's gonna be like, "Use DuckDuckGo, man. It works for me." It sucks. It doesn't give it. I don't know. Maybe I'm too spoiled from how good Google used to be. Now it's awful. And then, of course, you try to Google, you try to research what a suitable replacement for Google web search is. And they're all the same freaking ridiculous $10 a month premium subscription to some garbage web. I'm not going to pay $10 a month for web search. $10 a month.
How we have gotten out of this without a rant alert, I have no idea.
I don't know. Because it's just
right, because my clicker is broken.
It's not even a rant anymore. This is just our baseline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was literally my activity about an hour before, or like 3 hours before the show. Like my wife was going, "Hey, I'm going to the store. Do you need anything for tonight?" And I went, "Yeah, I think I need some amaretto. My amaretto's almost out. Give me some amaretto." And then I'm like, "Let me look up some cocktails real quick." Never mind, I can't. I will figure it out from here. I'm just going to go to some old standbys that I know and love. Because screw this website.
Yeah.
You know what's amazing?
Down the shitter.
You know what's amazing? Our
What?
viewership went up over the last 10 minutes.
Of course it did. People love watching angry white men. Why do you think YouTube's in trouble to begin with?
I love you people. You guys are amazing.
Let me just tell you about the woke... No.
Thank you for watching two millennials yell at Cloud.
I'm sorry. Give millennials all this shit that you want to, but we're still the only generation that understands how printers work.
Yep. It's not black magic. I know what a Twain driver is, okay?
Printers are going to be like our VCRs.
I can fix a load letter.
We're going to be teaching our children how to print
cartridges. That was one of the first practices I did away with at my tech job. So again, I worked, started as a help desk jockey and worked my way up to Lord of all creation. Oh, sorry, to director of IT. We had a bench and we had a cart next to the bench, and on the cart was boxes of toner, powder, and funnels. And we had this soldering iron with a special tip on it that would melt through the side of a toner cartridge. And we had replacement plugs that we could install and then seal up when we were done. And so what we would do, instead of buying new $40 toner cartridges, we would spend $23 on toner and cost me a pair of slacks. Refilling these toner cartridges. And I did it like for 2 weeks, and I said, I'm never doing that again. And they said, why not? It saves us like $13. I said, yeah, but you've cost me $180 in pants, and you don't pay me enough. You either raise my pay or you buy toner cartridges. And guess what? We started buying toner cartridges. And we bought toner cartridges the entire time that I was there. That was the very first change that I made. And I wasn't even in a position to make a change. I just said, I'm not refilling toner cartridges anymore. You can either buy me pants or you can buy proper toner cartridges. And guess what? They bought proper toner cartridges because that was cheaper than buying me pants.
You know what would have been a good fix? An apron. Just...
If you've never worked with toner powder, it seeps into your very soul. Okay?
Fair enough.
I was about to make a very crude joke, but no, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna go.
Yeah. We're not deep enough for crude jokes.
Yeah,
Jeff.
no, that's in the after party.
Yeah, subscribe. $1 a month.
Something about the detection of microtoner.
Don't.
Oh
man,
it was there. Yeah, cheaper than a new Jeff too. Yeah, like it was ridiculous how. So yeah, we're saving $13 per cartridge. Okay, you're paying me $6 to fill it, like just in labor, and I have to go buy new pants now. And you're not paying enough for that. Have you refilled, or I have refilled laser printer toner? Yeah, Tanmay knows. Toner powder, it's like British rain. Yeah. If you've ever visited the Northwest, so Portland, Seattle, Vancouver, if you've been in the Northwest, people in the Northwest understand British rain. Also San Francisco. San Francisco is like a, honorary member because it'll get so foggy that the fog just starts falling. And that's what we just call winter. where it's always gray, it's always gloomy, and there's always some moisture falling from the sky. It might not be raining, but you walk in soaked. And that's just the way it is. And yeah, like I've heard, British summers, British rainfall, British storms kind of thing. Yeah, no, it's the same thing in the West Coast. It storms very much the same way, where it's just always misting on you. And over the course of 24 hours, that mist has accumulated like an inch of rainfall. It didn't feel like it was raining, but it was raining all day.
All that to say,
Dragon's Dogma, specifically number 2.
Buckle up, kids.
Buckle up, kids. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Hold on. Is it still F9 for rant alert? It is. Look at that. Okay, I have it queued.
Okay.
I got it. Is it F10 for you? No, I don't have you queued. Hold on. I need to click manually for you. So let me know if you need it. And I've got you.
Okay. All right. Good.
We have rant alert on standby. Okay. Dragon's Dogma 2. Here we go. I was genuinely looking forward to this game. It was announced about, like, officially, like, with release date and everything else, maybe about 4 months ago, maybe around December-ish, that Dragon's Dogma 2 from Capcom was getting a sequel. And holy crap, what an underrated first game. What a killer, real-time, without being hack and slash RPG. It was such a great middle ground of D&D, Baldur's Gate, Divinity, Original Sin kind of gameplay. The real deep character creation and lore and story and character development and everything else. But with real-time action that was all predicated on, Rett, chime in if you know that, on like dice rolls you get with Morrowind. Like it was the perfect combination of gameplay and sword fights and large battles, small battles, single player, slightly co-op, kind of not.
Yeah, they had that kind of pseudo online kind of Dark Souls assist type thing.
Yeah. So, huge fan of the first game. Played the crap out of the first game. Probably have 250, 300 hours in the first game. And was kind of like, holy crap, there's a second one coming out. I thought, because it wasn't like an immediate smash hit, this was going to be Left 4 Dead. I'll be damned. They've been developing it for like 3-4 years. This is going to be a good game. Trailers looked amazing. Gameplay looked amazing. Early footage looked amazing. Early reviews from critics, all amazing. All, the 9.5 out of 10 from everyone, from PC Gamer, from IGN, from, whoever. Critical acclaim, critical praise. Day one. Well, let's start with this article. Critics, and this is an editorial from Downtime Bros, and I felt this was very apt. Critics must rescore Dragon's Dogma 2 in light of microtransactions. Dragon's Dogma 2 came out for $70, $69.99 US dollars, way more in some other regions. Like upwards of like 100 USD, depending on the region that you're in. Came out for a pretty lofty price tag. But hey, what AAA, RPG doesn't deserve a $70 price tag? Like if Baldur's Gate 3 came out for $70, I'd have bought Baldur's Gate 3 for $70. Straight up.
Did Starfield launch for 70?
I think Starfield was still 60. Most games are still 60.
There was a game I bought recently where I was like, ew, $70? Well, okay.
Yeah.
Guess I'll buy it. Couldn't remember what it was, though.
Yeah, most games still are sticking in the $70 range. There's been a few that have flirted with 70. Flirt in the $60 range. Some have flirted with 70. I know, like, Street Fighter Turbo has flirted with 70. There's been a couple other games that have flirted up that direction as well. Ironically, Capcom seems to be pushing the 70 price tag. Probably because they got away with it all those many years ago with Final Fantasy 3 and 4, but I digress. But launched at $70. Even then, I was like, I'm going to play the hell out of this game. I'm going to be paying 25 cents an hour to play this game. Well worth my investment. Watch some Day Zero reviews. IGN, PC Gamer, the like, kind of went through. Is this a cash grab? Is this a heaping pile of crap, or does it keep all of the charm and the deep mechanics of the original? Has all the charm and the deep mechanics of the original. $70 price tag, well worth every penny. Now, I'm probably a day one buyer. I didn't buy it on day one. I was doing something else. Day two, I came around. And on my Reddit feed came up some outcry over microtransactions. And I went, I don't remember seeing microtransactions in any way, shape, or form, in any review, in any pre-release material, in anything. Day one, patched in. Here's the microtransactions. There's the usual things, get the camping gear, $2.99. Get,
good.
Custom sounds, $2.99.
Ooh.
Harpy lure item, 99 cents. A thoughtful gift, heartfelt pendant, $1.99. Like a couple, you could probably grind for those. You could probably get them 10 hours. I'll never buy those. I never would consider buying those. If you want to buy them and you want to give Franklin $500,000 at the start of GTA 5, be my guest. It's a single-player game. You can mod that money in, but whatever. Have fun, kids.
Yeah.
And I went, yeah, even if that's the extent of it, I don't care. And we got into some more meaty things. Art of Metamorphosis, character editor, $1.99. Port Crystal, warp location marker, $2.99. Restore dead to life of different levels of pawns, A, B, C, D, and E, $1 each. Points to spend beyond the rift, ABC. And then ABC, and then ABC, depending on how many points you want to spend at a certain time, for in-game items. I've already had in the chat some Dragon's Dogma apologists, some Capcom apologists. I'm having fun with the game all the same. Here's my issue. Now I say this without having played the game. I have not bought the game. I have not played the game. And given the current state of the way I see the game, I will not be buying this game. I will not be reviewing this game. I will not be including this game in benchmarks regardless of the popularity that it may or may not have. And that's rare for me. I buy almost every game that comes out, especially AAA games, because people want to know benchmark numbers for them. And so I need to be prepared, whether I like the game or not, to at least be able to benchmark that title. I will not spend my money on this game. Period. In its current state. Because there seem to be certain game mechanics that are slanted towards incentivizing that microtransaction purchase in a single-player game in an always-online de novo-controlled DRM situation. And that's just not okay. We'll start with the Art of Metamorphosis. Character editor. You can change your haircut. You can change your clothes. But a common trope of RPGs is, hey, you know what? When I started the game, I wanted to be a blonde-haired, blue-eyed person, but you know what? I need some scars now, motherfucker. Like, I need to be battle-worn and battle-tested and you know, world-lived in. And I want my character to reflect that. There are Art of Metamorphosis books that you can buy in-game with in-game currency. There's 2 of them, and they never respawn. Or, for the low cost of $2, you can change your character's appearance. That seems like BS on a game that is entirely cloud-hosted, that you don't even control your own save files on. Port Crystal, warp location marker. Only somewhere between 1/3 to 50% of the fast travel locations are unlockable by the player in game. The other 50%, you have to buy. $2.99. And I'm pretty sure that's per playthrough. It doesn't transfer over to new characters. If you start a new game, you have to buy that shit again. $2.99. What about if you have this really nice pawn? Pawns are randomly generated, although you can tweak some settings with some pawns. I've played the first game enough to know how pawns work. Basically, pawns are randomly generated. You go into the world, or you go into their realm. You pick a pawn that's been randomly generated, whether it's a mage, a wizard, a warlock, a fighter, a rogue, whatever thing you need to fill your party right now. You find one, you like their stats. As they journey with you, they level up. You can equip them with gear. You can upgrade them. You can equip them with things to match your playstyle, your aesthetics, your whatever else. In the first Dragon's Dogma game, if a pawn died, you could restore the dead to life. You could restore the life to a pawn, and it was a simple spell that you learned throughout the game. Oh, guess what? You need a Restore the Dead to Life book now. And you need a book to match the level of pawn that you had, whether it was an A or B or T or C or D or E tier pawn. Guess what? That's $1 per book. And yeah, you can find these books in-game, but they are scarce. They are few and far between, and they also do not respawn. So if your pawn dies, it's permadeath. Unless you give us $1. Then we'll restore a pawn to your single-player experience. It's a $70 single-player game. I will not be paying a penny more on the experience that should have been delivered in my single-player offline experience game. These things should have been included by default. These mechanics were tweaked to send you here.
Yeah.
And that's bullshit.
See, Mike Jones says something interesting here, and I don't know if it applies to Dragon's Dogma 2, but it's an interesting point. He says players should be allowed to make money in game, not just developers. Players should be able to make and sell digital junk and profit from it. And I was going to say earlier when we were talking about this is that, like, it's kind of funny that a game like this is $70.
I am not going back to Tribes,
It's funny that a game like this is $70, and then the shoehorn in.
I've spent my time in EVE Online, okay?
Well, that's what's funny, though. And what I'm getting to is that, like, $70 and all these
crypto.
microtransactions, but, like, I have spent a lot more money on a game like Dota 2, which is free, and all of the in-game microtransactions are cosmetic only. They got their money from me, and then there's an interesting aspect of that where people could make their own Dota 2 cosmetics and sell them and make a profit. And then not only that, if you owned an item, you could put it on the marketplace and you could sell it, and as a player you could make profit. So there's like an interesting sort of like aftermarket to all of this stuff that I think, you know, if you get just a bunch of junk items, I remember just throwing them up for like a penny a piece, and eventually you make enough that you can like buy something else. You know, you might buy some common cosmetic item for $1 or whatever that you really wanted. But it's like, when it was all said and done, Dota 2 was free, but I spent thousands of hours playing it, and I spent more than Dragon's Dogma 2 costs and probably what all their microtransactions cost. And they didn't do it by making parts of the game be behind a paywall. even if it's, JK4T is in here saying like, well, actually these items are really common in the game, or actually you can do that in the game, or actually this, that, or the other thing,
but another
I don't
person
doubt...
says, Hillsborough Hits says, gotta actually play it and see. You don't need to buy any of these items. Putting a price tag on it is just for suckers. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That is exactly the problem. It's a $70 game.
And that's the thing, is like when Jeff was telling me about it at the beginning, it's like I kind of was in Hillsborough Hits' camp. It's like, well, none of that stuff affects me really, but at the same time, like, I don't know, man. You got to imagine all the kids out there that want to play a game like this, and they see that, and it's like they want it or whatever, and it's like, not everybody has the same level of insight that we have. Not everybody has the same level of impulse control that we have. Not everybody plays at the same level that we do, and if they see something that they think that they need, like, why wouldn't they buy it? And I say all the time, don't be a sucker, JK4T. I mean, that's my whole thing. I'm infamously mad at fans for not understanding what they were getting into with No Man's Sky, because personally I bought that game on launch, played it, had a great time. I knew exactly what I was getting into, which was not what was being said I was going to get, because I've been duped by games before. I've bought Peter Molyneux's games before. So yeah, like, don't be a sucker, but then everybody loses their mind and sends death threats to people like Hello Games. Don't be a sucker, but then Dragon's Dogma 2 comes out and wants money for these types of things. It's like, at least No Man's Sky doesn't do that to you. You know what I mean? It's like, never ask for money after you bought the game, and they keep giving you content for free. I don't know. There's just something extra dubious about it. The fact that, like, every moment of our waking lives, everything is being scraped for as much profitability as possible. It's like, man, just remember when you could buy a game and play it. And I don't know, there's something to be said about, I think, the transition that we had, even from like expansions to then what kind of became DLC, they started calling it. It's like, I would buy expansions. I bought Shivering Isles for Oblivion.
I was going to go Shivering Isles to Horse Armor. That's exactly where I was going to go.
And that's the go-to example, because it's the prime example.
Yep.
I never bought Horse Armor. I don't give a shit about Horse Armor.
But Shivering Isles was a $10 expansion for Morrowind. Horse Armor was a $5 expansion for Oblivion.
No. Shivering Isles was Oblivion as well. But they're both Oblivion. They're both Oblivion.
Okay.
But God, was Horse Armor even $5? I thought it was like $8.99 or $7.99 or something.
No, it was $5. Okay. I think it might have even been $3.
Okay,
it wasn't like much.
That was like
but it was enough to piss people off, because all it was
the first example. Yeah, it was the first example of DLC I ever ran into.
$10, 10-hour campaign. $5 armor.
Shivering Isles to this day is regarded as like some of the best playable content in Elder Scrolls. To this day. You're lucky if you spent money to buy that game and play it, because it's freaking great. Maybe you got Game of the Year edition or whatever, but I don't know. Lots of people, and I don't think that JK4T is out here in bad faith or anything like that. He's saying none of this stuff is your problem. Just enjoy the game. Yeah, you're right. It isn't our problem. But like, I don't know. That's just such a. I don't know. I guess I just disagree with that take in general. And I'm not saying like reviewers need to go out here and change their reviews because of microtransactions. I don't think that that's necessarily the case. But people need to be aware of it. And like day one, sort of shoehorning in all these things, that's really shady, man.
My biggest issue with this, even outside of designing certain mechanics to guide you towards microtransactions, and make no bones about it, if you only have 50% of the warp locations and fast travel locations available, that is, what is your time worth? Would you rather spend $3 and in this playthrough of your game have access to every warp location so you can quick save faster and get to where you need to go faster and spend an hour less playing per night? Or are you willing to grind it out? For me, I don't have the time to grind it out, and if there's a warp point available, I'd kind of like to use it. And having that be paywalled per playthrough That's shady. Number 2 is the fact that reviewers who got to see the game before launch were given a list of the DLC that would be available. No mention of pricing.
Yeah.
And some of them mentioned it only in passing because it wasn't really a major thing. But here we're seeing literally buy in-game currency for $1 and $3 a whack, and buy the ability to play the game faster for $3, and be able to modify your character for $2, and be able to bring characters back to life for $1 a piece. That's $10 a week, depending on who you are.
Yeah. But hey, apparently
Wakestones... free and just charge me a subscription, make all this free. I would not have any problem in the world. But you charge me $70 to get into the game. And now you're charging me more money depending on how much time I want to spend playing. I don't want to spend time playing. I would like to enjoy the game that I purchased.
Yeah.
And that's where we get down to the essence of what is this entertainment. I spent $70 to play the game.
And I guess there's an argument to say, and maybe JK4T was making this point, is that I guess that ultimately at the end of the day, if a game decides to do this to themselves, is it even really is it really news? I mean, I guess you got the name recognition of, I think it's Capcom, right? And
it's Capcom,
and a name recognition of Dragon's Dogma. Then it's kind of scandalous. It's kind of less than genuine to shoehorn all of this stuff in without making it well known. There's lots of games out there that I think make less than optimal business decisions, and none of them really rise to have the same audience that a game like Dragon's Dogma has. So, I guess there's a point to be made that it's AAA titles, AAA games are in the business of making money, not in the business of making games. Sure, we've been watching the degeneration of Call of Duty, once one of the greatest first-person shooter games of all time, one of the greatest multiplayer games of all time, and now kind of just a lot of people play it, but what is it actually doing for the art form? What is it doing for the genre, the space?
Yeah.
It exists to extract as much money and time out of its audience as possible, and that's it. It doesn't really serve to add anything of value. I mean, I guess there's value in wasting your time in a fun way. I'm never going to take that away from anybody, but
right.
So I guess maybe if JK4T was saying earlier, why are you worried about this? This isn't a news story, whatever, blah blah blah. Okay, you're kind of right, but also it still kind of sucks,
Yeah.
And it's made a big enough splash that we're talking about it. So
yeah,
I don't know.
My problem isn't that I'm going to buy these microtransactions. I've never spent a single dollar in a microtransaction, and
well, you're missing out because all of those knife skins on Counter-Strike Go make you look cool. So
I have sold every sticker and every skin on Steam that I ever earned. Every goddamn one of them.
But they make you look cool, and some of them count. Some of the skins in CS:GO count the number of kills.
Do you know how many hats I sold in TF2?
Don't. Just don't.
Lots and lots and lots. I could have bought this game 4 times over for the amount of hats that I've sold, okay?
I probably could have done that for all the shit I sold in Dota.
So, I understand some people will spend money on it. I'm not one of those people who will ever spend a penny on a microtransaction. But it doesn't mean I'm not offended by their sheer existence in this case.
Yeah.
Especially because of the shady way they were introduced on day one after reviews had gone live.
And SC here in chat gets to the heart of it. Why the hell do we have to monetize every freaking inch of everything? And that's the truth. And this is what I feel about even just the subscription market in general. Why can't we buy a game and have it and play it and enjoy it? Why is everything a service now? Why does everything need to be bought into and extract routine income from you?
I have more time in Stardew Valley in the last 12 months than I do in Starfield.
Yeah, because Stardew Valley keeps giving you free content, and it costs $15.
It was $15 one time, and me and my wife play it all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I bought it twice. I bought it on Switch too. It's like
I've got it on
I don't
Steam
know.
and on GOG, and
Yeah.
so I've spent $30 on that.
But see, isn't that kind of telling into itself that people are willing to spend money multiple times on these types of games that give you that type of content? I mean, I bought No Man's Sky twice. I bought it for PlayStation 4.
I've bought Baldur's Gate 3 twice. I bought
Yeah.
it on Steam and on GOG.
Yeah.
So my wife can also play, so we can do LAN games.
Yeah.
And now I have a DRM free copy, and so if I spent $140 or $120 fully willingly on Baldur's Gate 3. And I'm not willing to spend $70 on this because they want to charge me $3 for the privilege of playing it on the way out. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the problem. That's exactly the problem. And even though I wouldn't spend the $3 on a microtransaction, hundreds of other people will. Thousands of other people will. And that's a bullcrap way to make money. And I'm so sick and tired of it in our industry.
Yeah.
Make a good product. People will be happy to spend money. Usually more than once. Don't sucker them into spending the money. Don't make it feel like, oh, well, I'm already here. I might as well give you an extra $2. Stop that. It's parasitic. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
I haven't even gotten into the de novo DRM discussion, for fuck's sake.
Oh yeah, but that's a good point too, though, and it ties into everything that we're talking about. And everybody, when we brought up the game, they were talking about it in chat. And strangely, none of the people who are defending the microtransactions have anything to say about that. Maybe they did, and I just didn't see it. I don't want to be disingenuous or unfair to any of these people, because like people like JK4T, he's being defensive of Dragon's Dogma. He's not being rude. He's not being belligerent or mean or anything like that. He's got a strong opinion, and he hasn't said anything that I disagree with. It's just that I feel more strongly the other way. So yeah, he even says, I agree, everything's over monetized. It just really doesn't matter in this game if you don't want to buy anything. And I guess that's great. And ultimately, I think when it's all said and done, when it's all said and done, people are going to look at Dragon's Dogma 2 very fondly. I think this is just going to be a blip in the radar of its legacy. I heard a lot of really negative day one news, and I haven't heard anything since. So
the reviews are still mixed on Steam as of right now. 42,000 reviews. And
they will be. They will be, because people are super petty. You know what I mean? Yeah. Reviews are a tricky thing. It's, one of my favorite fantasy authors, Patrick Rothfuss, he got himself into some hot water with some promises that he made about a charity auction, and he just hasn't fulfilled those promises. And so people went on to online, and they review bombed all of his like upcoming books with like 1-star reviews, saying that he's just a huge piece of shit. Even though these books aren't even out. And I think the most telling thing about it is that even with all of these petty things, like, reviews were mixed very briefly, but then honest fans who aren't huge whiners and chronically online come back and everything kind of washes out. And I think that'll happen with Dragon's Dogma 2. Again, not to overwash or overshadow the fact that this is like kind of shitty and shady behavior, but I do think it's a blip, And you get a lot of people who are really bitter, really angry, really upset about it, and they go and review bomb everything. They turn their reviews. I don't know, that's just a problem with online fandom in general, but.
So to kind of prove, number one, it's here to stay. And look, don't get me wrong. I will never begrudge someone from making money. Ever. I sell coasters that I laser engrave in my garage, for crying out loud. Like, I will never begrudge someone for making money. The problem is when the mechanic is forced upon you. And some people, like I said, like to constantly alter the look of their character, want them to look battle-torn 20 hours into a playthrough. And it's like, if there's still this dainty blue-eyed girl with blonde hair, and there's supposed to be this warrior priestess fighter, and and they look like an anime character. It's like, it's not going to fly, you know? Your suspension of disbelief can only go so far, you know? I've been playing back through Kingdom Come Deliverance lately, and I love that I get the crap beat out of me sometimes. And you walk into town, and even though you've got like some of the best armor in the game on and whatnot, you walk up and like, good Lord, who beat the hell out of you? And, and like that stigma about you, like, you know, you
gotta bathe,
shoot up and shout out like, what the hell, man? It's like, oh, sorry, I haven't bathed recently. So I kind of like that in games, and I like that game in particular draws attention to it. But Capcom, in the day that followed the release of the game, they took up one of the main criticisms, and that is the Tome of Metamorphosis, the let me change my character's appearance more than once without spending tens of thousands of dollars in game or literally dozens of hours to find a Tome of Metamorphosis. The stock is going up and going to be replenished at the dealers who sell them. So you'll be able to buy it for in-game currency. And the $2 microtransaction still exists. And that's fine. Well, the problem was how it existed on the forefront, and had it not been for the backlash, that's how it would still exist today. And that's my problem. It is a game mechanic designed to lead you to a microtransaction. The warp points is the other one. That 50% of warp points are locked behind a paywall. And JK4T pointed out, well, how many warp portals or warp crystals were there in the first game? And I said, every city in camp had one. He goes, same in Dragon's Dogma 2. Dragon's Dogma 2 is 3.5 times the size of the map. And they're still fewer and far between. And the fact that 50% of your warp points are still locked behind a paywall is bullshit.
You want to play a game that doesn't require you to be online. You want to play a game that doesn't have microtransactions. You want to play a game that keeps giving over and over and over for over 20 years now. Play Morrowind. Okay? All right? Morrowind doesn't have horse armor. All right? Okay? Yeah, there you go. You don't have to be online.
You know what? Game of the Year for Morrowind and Oblivion is like $10 on GOG. You can get that, and guess what? The Game of the Year comes with the horse armor. 2 for 1. My problem isn't Capcom making money. My problem is literally the taking advantage of and the guiding towards the making more money. It's just like, it just feels like kind of like, ugh, you know, it feels icky. Nobody really likes that. And when you're spending that much money, games are one of these things. It's like we're all notoriously persnickety and picky about price. Yep.
And we want to feel good about what we're spending money on. Just tell us what we're spending money on, what that gets us, what the transactions are going to look like in the future. Because the last thing anybody wants to feel is like that we're being taken advantage of. And I think that's what's left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. The fact that it really doesn't feel like you own this game. It feels like you're borrowing, you're renting it, you know?
$70 single player, online only, cloud only, full of microtransactions. When the server goes offline, you're never going to play this game again. Unless Dodie or Fit Girl have their way. We'll see where that goes. But yeah, Skid Row. I mean, you can name all of them.
Yeah.
I still keep an ear to the ground. Like, come on. Let me see. There was one. They take things away and sell it back to us later. The Sims.
Yeah, The Sims was
The
bad
Sims
for
3
this.
to The Sims 4. Like, Sims has always been full of DLC, but it's like, oh, clothes and adventures and things like this. It's like, yeah, it's extra to the additional game, right? After Sims 3, they went to Sims 4, and they said, sorry, we can't do pools because we don't know how to write the AI for pools to work. And so we're going to have to add that to the game later, maybe as some paid DLC, because the development time was just too much to allow your Sims to swim. There has never been thicker bullshit spewed by a
Was
marketing
there-
team than that line right there.
Was there a game more golden, more untouchable, more hallowed than Sims 2 at that time? No. That game, everybody, my friends who had never played computer games were playing Sims 2. It was all over the TV. It was all over the internet. It was in everybody's house. And yeah, they had like DLC and expansions and stuff like that, but nowhere near. I remember like when Sims 3 came out, everybody's like so excited about it. And I remember I think it was my brother like bought the base game and then had spent over $100 in DLC.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking like, wow, that's a turning point.
Yeah.
In the legacy of that series. $100 of DLC. And I remember he was just like, well, there's stuff that I thought would just make it as enjoyable as Sims 2. He spent $100 on top of the base price of the game to make it as enjoyable as the base experience of the previous game.
Yeah.
And that's all the Elder Scrolls has ever done. They can't ever get to Morrowind again. No, I'm kidding. But but yeah, I don't know. Just a mess, and we'll see. Hopefully it all gets cleaned up. Hopefully it finds its equilibrium here, because I think that the title deserves success. It looks like a great game and stuff, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. And that's my problem. Like I said, I will never fault anyone, any company for trying to make money. It's when you're shady about it.
Yeah.
It's when you've
Just be open,
previously
man.
been able to deliver something with no questions asked, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, we can charge for that?
Everybody knows what they're getting into when they walk into a casino.
Right.
And that's what I always think about when these types of situations, is that there's no question about what the game is. There's no misunderstanding that you're there to spend money to lose money and have fun. And like maybe you get something in return. But it's not a guarantee. Yep. And nobody's ever going into a casino thinking that like,
oh my gosh, they're taking advantage of me.
I mean, everybody probably the difference is you don't think that, that.
I just rolled the dice once and all my money went no, that's how the game works.
Yeah.
I think that's a great analogy to it.
And that's the thing. It's like if it was all labeled,
unfortunately,
everything was
that
as
also
clear.
gives credence to the pro DLC and microtransaction crowd. Like they knew what they were getting into. It's like, yeah, but
yeah, and I think that maybe there's something to that. Like if that's how you want to play the game, if that's how you want, like maybe that's okay. But like, can you please label the casino? Can you please like?
But 20 years ago, craps wasn't slanted toward the user, and only through extreme monetization has it been, house, rules.
But you can still play cards and dice at home. You know what I mean? It's like you can still have just as much fun playing blackjack at home with your friends if you got somebody willing to deal.
Yeah.
You go to the casino when you want to go to the casino. You don't want to think about it, or you don't have any friends, or whatever it might be, and you can stay home and you could have a card table.
Well, you're getting personal all of a sudden.
Well. Yeah, happens all the time by mistake. You're just an easy target.
I have friends. I didn't even pay for all of them.
You're right. Some of us pay you.
And for only $1 a month, join the Patreon. Become my friend.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have the answer to it. I've got a lot of opinions. I got a lot of strong opinions, and all I can tell everybody is how it makes me feel, and it just makes me feel icky. And the same thing is, despite the casino analogy, the same thing can be said about DLC and all that anyway. But I don't know. The analogy isn't airtight by any means.
Yep. Anyway. It is 20 minutes past the hour. I am not going to make another coffee cocktail tonight because holy crap.
At least not until the after show.
Those were 2 of the 3 best cocktails I've had this month. Like just
nice.
Bar none. That was amazing. That was a hell of a lineup. Coffee and Cynicism wants to sign off with a $2. Oblivion was better.
Oblivion had its charms, and I will say this, I like Morrowind more, but I probably played Oblivion more.
See?
So
See?
Yeah. I love Oblivion. You'll never hear me say otherwise. I love.
What's really funny is every time Rett and I get together, Morrowind still comes up. It's still a topic of conversation, and it's still a debate because, and I think we'll sign off with this. I think when Morrowind came out, for the hardcore D&D dice rolling, role playing, gather with your friends kind of player, that was the wind they'd been looking for. That was the thing that lifted their sails. That went like, this is exactly the game I've always imagined in my head in paper and tabletop form. And I can be anything, I can do anything. If I want to imagine something into existence, it's there. If I want to cast a spell or create a potion, I can combine these things. And then by the roll of the dice, that will happen or not. And it's all up to literally the roll of the die. And that game was, yes, that's exactly what it is. However, we don't know how to walk around in first person yet in a 3D environment. We're still in a transitionary period, so I'm not sure where the controls are going to be mapped. Maybe space activates something, maybe it's jump. I don't know. Press F. Just try. Modern times, that's to pay respects, but in older times, it was to pick up item. Not to activate item, but to pick up item. And then it's like... So the controls are all over the map. And between the D&D difficulty of entry, of understanding not only the mechanics of a first-person RPG, but how everything in the world interacts with every other item, and how a spell can cause two different things depending on where it's at and who cast it and what your chances are. And it's a deep, deep thing to get into. And the controls didn't do it any favors. As Rett has said, being on the Xbox granted it so much accessibility.
I'll that's the cross I'll die on, is that to me, I play it nowadays. I play it mostly on PC, but back then I think I'll still say this, that the Xbox was the definitive version of Morrowind. Everything, it just worked. There were no bugs. Everything was solved. By the time I got to Xbox, especially Game of the Year edition, all of the quality of life stuff that people wanted was there. My God, like, try navigating any of your menus in PC versus Xbox. I mean, huge difference. Everything was just so much more streamlined, so much faster with the controller in your hand. The downside, maybe frame rates, maybe load times. Load times were pretty bad on Xbox, but like, man, when you're playing a game as legendary as Morrowind, it didn't matter as much to me. And then, I grew up a little bit more, and I liked having access to mods, and I liked having access to stuff like that. And so, my preference changed. But the first thing I always do is I always change my controls to Oblivion controls. I change everything to match exactly how it was on Oblivion, because that kind of became the standard following Oblivion, at least for those types of games, as far as that's concerned. Right click to open a menu, that's the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life, or whatever. I think it's right click, but
wasn't
I certainly say it a lot for
like, good lord.
Yeah, I certainly say it a lot, so if it's not true, I'm a huge idiot. But
the success of Morrowind, because of the adaptation and because of the common audience it received, led to Oblivion being a far more polished, albeit a little bit shallower experience.
Well, and I told everybody in the Discord this, I just submitted like a 20 to 25 page proposal to like write a nonfiction book for a publisher about Morrowind. And like, my premise in that, in my proposal was like, if Skyrim is the, what is it? Maybe it's like the 8th. If Skyrim is the 8th best-selling game of all time, it's only like Morrowind walked so that Skyrim could fly. Morrowind walked so Oblivion could run.
Yeah.
If Skyrim walked through that door, it's because Morrowind built the door. So I think there's a lot of that legacy you can't take away. It's not perfect by any means, and like I said earlier, I got more hours playing Oblivion than I have Skyrim, and that, or more hours playing Oblivion than I have playing Morrowind, and that's no joke for being my favorite game. And it's probably close for Skyrim. I love Skyrim. It's a great game. It just, when you grew up loving it so much, and that was the other premise too of my proposal, is that like everybody won't shut. If you love Morrowind like I do, yeah, we won't shut up about how great it is. We're gonna die screaming into the void about how great it is. But in reality, it's a time and place thing. If you liked it when it came out, it's your favorite game now.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's your favorite Elder Scrolls, at least, is what I mean. But it's hard to go back. If your first game was Skyrim, it's hard to go back and play Morrowind. It's really hard.
It doesn't hold up if you go backwards. If you played Morrowind, you go, oh, I see where all the mechanics and all the lore and all of the items and the environments, and I've heard about this. I've heard about the dragons, and I've heard about it's cool to finally see them. If you played Skyrim and then you go back to Morrowind, you're like, what the fuck is a Silt Strider?
Yeah. And there's a lot of that in Morrowind.
I just want to I have to walk to the fast travel points? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. They do have spells for fast travel too, though. Mark and recall, baby.
You can buy them for only $2.99 in the digital store.
That would have been smart at Bethesda. They would have got there a lot faster.
Right. Horse armor would have been just a bump in the road at that point.
Yeah.
Anyway. That is going to do it for Talking Heads. Thank you so much for joining us here on Craft Computing. Join us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time for the latest in beer and tech news. Join the Patreon. Get onto the after party. Join the Discord server. And if you like the content you see on this channel and want to help support us, go on over to craftcomputing.store and buy one of our brand new, literally designed in the last 2 days. We've got a couple new coaster designs here. We've got the beer, not to be confused with a floppy disk that looks a lot like this, installation disk, and the CPU that started it all. This is the 2677 V0 Xeon. So go check those out, craftcomputing.store, and start drinking like a pro.
Check them and wreck them.
I was going to ask you if there's anything good of the order, but I think that'll do it.
It will.
All right. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, we will see you next week.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.